Out of all the Forge maps I've seen in Halo Infinite, this one, in my opinion, is ready to go. You could throw this into Ranked. You could throw this into the HCS rotation tomorrow, and I'm confident the community would thank you for it. This is called Starboard. It's made by Pwn Jones, same person who made Mausoleum, a reimagining of the pit. This time we've got another reimagining, but it's of a classic map, Midship. And I love that instead of the Covenant theme, he's got a UNSC theme this time, which is a very creative and unique way to take, a classic map concept that works very well in competitive Halo and apply it to Infinite. Of course, it's got its own unique set of jumps and routes, and we'll break them down, but honestly, I love the design. I think one thing that makes this map immediately stand out as a good competitive map versus like other Forge maps that I've seen, beyond like the, the obvious traditional symmetrical design, is just the visual consistency of everything. Like everything, despite the many unique objects in the environment here, it all kind of fits that one consistent theme. And there's no like, weird random objects or random colors, kind of jutting out in the environment. Like it's very well color coordinated too, right? You've got your obvious blue base, red base, car is colored green, pink side colored pink, like perfect, right? Like such an easy to navigate and understand layout. Bottom mid, top mid. Interestingly, bottom mid is super open this time. Like on top of the fact that there's no cover, if you go for that camo, if you slip, you fall and you die. Like that's it for your life. So, and there you go. I've successfully killed myself for demonstration purposes, but just very risky, right? You've got your top mid with a sword as well. We'll just kind of run around. I love just the placement of certain objects, and I can tell that Pwn Jones, the designer, knew what he was doing when it came to like map movement and curb slides with this one. There was a lot to jump on. There was a lot to slide on. So let me see how much I can kind of just try to show really quickly. If you edge line up on these platforms here, you can actually curb slide both directions in the base for a pretty powerful curb slide. Remember, I'm jumping, landing on the edge, sprint forward, turn off, time the slide right before I hit the floor. Pretty tough to hit these like tall edges. If you get the hang of it though, you're looking at, very consistent, very powerful slides. You can slide off the ledge here too. Can't reach this window. There's no convenient, like you can crouch jump to this, which is pretty cool to get to the front of the base. Also stand right here and crouch and kind of like jiggle peek, I guess. But if you're coming from here to the window, it might be possible to do like a, a very precise jump and connect into a clamber. This roof kind of gets in the way, makes it tough. Once we are in the base though, something I've noticed that this will definitely get some use, it's pretty cheeky, is you can just jump, hold crouch, and sit up in here. Really convenient spot to be able to access. You can get it on both sides. Jump, hold crouch, just tuck yourself in here. Not very good sight lines looking to my left, but looking to my right, I mean, this is a great way to sneak up onto somebody. If you're like really precise with your movement, you can potentially jump in backwards and like avoid a nade, avoid a challenge while still keeping high ground, which is pretty sick. You've got lift to get back up to the top of the base. A lot of really well, like strategically placed curb slide options, right? Like if you ever find yourself caught in a corner, you can tell like he's thought this through. You've always got an option if you are willing to take that skillful option to move quickly in these like, situations. Not sure how I feel about the fact that you can't go down the lift here. Like normally there's a way to shimmy down these lifts and get down to the bottom of the base to stay alive if you're like precise, but it looks like it just kind of forces you up. So that's restricted. There is, of course, a bottom section of the base here just full of stuff to like jump and stand on top of and slide off of. You've got an AR spawn down there. You've got a sidekick. I'm going to drop this. So I don't spam YY over and over again. There's a hallway here, and you can jump up to this window if you land on the wall. My trick is to hold into the wall to make sure I'm propped up with as much height as possible, because it is possible to like very quickly jump and not quite reach it, but it does seem to be relatively consistent. I hold into the wall just to make sure I'm propped up before I hit that jump. Every area where there's like a forced clamber, it seems like there's like a sneaky way to skip that forced clamber. He's got this little object on the side. You can slide off it if you want to. What's sick about this though is, notice how I said you can't reach this jump in the window? Well, if you know how to curb slide, anything's possible, right? Oh, okay. So it needs to be like a frame perfect curb slide off this window, and it is possible to reach that. What's easier is if you line it up off this box and slide like this, and then you hit a real nice clamber into the side of this window. So very skillful way. Not sure if that was intended, but sick route to get into the base here. All of these objects can be slid off of in different ways. This can be stood on as well. It's a little bit precise, but you can just kind of jump and land on it, stand on it, wait for somebody. Here we got pink side, where interestingly, there's a shock rifle spawning on what looks like a tier 3 pad. Like, I've seen a stalker here as well. It's funny that, you know, a Forge map creator can put this weapon on a tier 3 pad, half the ammo off a pickup as well, right? You can see it's got half the ammo. Like, this is what the competitive community has been asking for like a year. It's just crazy how easy it seems to be in Forge. I'm not sure why it's just so difficult in competitive to just do that. Anyway, P1 is down here. There's a repulsor that spawns down here. You've got an exclusive repulsor jump, like elevator, to access P2. Of course, there's a P3 as well. You can jump clamber off like one of these shoulders to get up to P3. Very vulnerable section of the map. There's no real cover here, so got to be very careful when you're up here, but a good like high sight line. Looks like all of this is blocked off. He used to be able to stand up here. I think he blocked it off though. Couple different ways to get up to P3. Pretty straightforward to navigate. Just clamber up these like vents on the side. Forced clambers though, as far as I can tell, you can't skip them, which I think to get to high altitude like this, the top of the map, this is a situation where it makes more sense to have a forced clamber to add some risk to navigate the high ground. Let's head to car side now. We'll go through top mid. Of course, you've got these shoulders here you can line up slides off of. Sword up on top mid as well. This is a forced clamber up to sword, unless you use one of these wall panels to get to it. Of course, very risky, very vulnerable. You're on the top of the map. With these slides, you can line up edge lineups once again to kind of fling yourself off of it earlier and get a powerful launch and hopefully like avoid some of the crossfire. Despite how tall this panel looks, it is actually possible to curb slide off it too. You got to be really precise. It's at like the max curb slide height to actually hit one, and it has to be an edge lineup. You got to sprint along parallel with it and like turn off and perfectly time the slide. What's crazy about this is it technically means, and of note that you're going to be so vulnerable and you're probably going to sacrifice your reticle placement doing this, but it technically means that you can use it as like a rotate to get to car side. And what's crazier is it means that you can use it to get to the windows of the bases as well. Like, notice how if I'm jumping from, like, I can almost reach the window if I sprint jump from the panel, but if I line up a curb slide from the opposite, the far panel, and hit it perfectly, I can launch into the window of the other side of the map, which pretty crazy rotation. Obviously very risky because you're opening yourself up to like angles even just to set it up. But if you hit that mid-game with good timing, it would be sick. Though, note that this is kind of like a stark difference in comparison to, you know, Midship, Heretic, Truth. Typically, jumping from top mid to base and from base to top mid is like not too uncommon. It's always been, you know, possible with previous versions of this map, but with this style, I don't think there's any possible way to go from base to top mid. I think it's just an impossible jump unless you do like a crazy repulse jump, let's say. But the fact that you can go from top mid to base, despite how risky it is, it's just good to have that option in general. Here we have car side. Love the design of car side here. You've got this like upper window shelf area that you can like, you know, jump to with a series of crouch jumps. You've got like a panel just kind of sitting here to access it. You've got this like tool on the side that you can jump off of. All of these work. You've got this area here that you can jump, crouch jump twice and stand on top of the wall to get up here. Kind of a sneaky spot where they might not be ready for you. One thing, I'm not sure if Pwn Jones intended, but if you happen to have a repulsor and you jump repulse, it's possible to like land and sit up here in the corner on both sides. There you go. So something to keep in mind. Stuff like this, you know, considering the fact that repulse spawns on the opposite side of the map, you'd have to bring it all the way over to car. Like, yes, it is a bit of a, like a cheeky, like cheesy kind of spot to be, but hey, man, it's good to have, you know, maybe one or two of these. We'll see. We'll see if it stays. I might have just killed the jump. Apart from that, we've got another lift. I don't think you can go down. Something weird I noticed is that if you jump backwards into the wall, hold crouch, you kind of get caught for a second. Like, you get stuck. Like, maybe if you're trying to get your shields back or, like, delay your rechow, you get, like, stuck for a split second if you just, like, jump back into the wall, hold crouch. Not really sure what that's about. At the section here, if you want to get back up to top car, you can use these lanes on the side of both sides of car. Just a couple crouch jumps will get you up there. Another seamless connection, just like pink side. So you love to see a bit of that. There's also these alternative ways. Like, What's interesting about this is it's just out of crouch jump height, and you can't clamber it, too. Oh, what the... Okay, wait. I've never clambered in my life, and I just clambered it. Okay, there's a way to clamber it. That is a game changer. That is a complete game. I'm not sure what... Is that on all sides of the map? Oh my god. What about this side? Maybe it's just this side. Yeah, because these are both designed to be like out of crouch jump height, so that the main way to get to them would be to precisely sprint jump off this box to get up here. As far as I can tell, you still can't clamber this. I don't know what that means as far as like balance is concerned. Same type of setup here, right? Like I thought you would have had to do this, like a nice precise sprint jump. But now that a clamber, it's inconsistent. The fact that it's possible is a game changer. Anyway, in car 1, we've got a shotgun here, meaning there's a sword and shotgun on this map. I can hear the pros just screaming into the void on this one. I think for competitive settings, it would probably be appreciated if it was like a sentinel beam or a needler or something like that. Something like a little less crazy, considering, assuming we're using the sword. I feel like this is the one style of map, like layout, where we could actually maybe see a sword, you know, work in competitive with all of this open space. I also think that the design of this weapon pad is perfect. Like, this is how I wish, like, all weapon racks were designed, personally. I think this is sick. Like, it's jutting out the wall to give you space to stand on it. It's downward slope to make it, like, ideal for curb sliding. So if you want to use it for a rotation in any direction, it's just so seamless, right? Like, back on Perilous, we've got, you know, weapon racks that you can stand on, but to varying degrees of success as far as, like, their consistency when it comes to sliding. This is just butter. Apart from that, that basically covers the map. We've got a drop wall that spawns here, car 1. Your safest bet to getting to this camo and actually surviving, right? This is just super open. There are these little shoulders you can actually stand on top of and, like, maybe line up a slide off of, but, like, I just don't know how you're going to get the time to do that safely. Knowing that the shoulder is accessible, though, you can use it to skip your clamber to get to these spots. You can jump on the top portion of it, too, if you want to, like, more safely get, like, over to the right or the left. Or, like, if anything, you know, tuck yourself in the corner and just clamber up while you've got some cover. That might be a safe way to get out of here. I think the real meta, the strat for getting to camo is going to be more about, like, sliding at it with really good timing, hitting a curb slide, like maybe off one of these fins. One of the best spots, I think, is to use one of these staircases coming off a pink side, where you could line up a pretty powerful slide and just kind of cross the gap. Or if you're really skilled with curb sliding, you might be able to set up some kind of a crazy, like, edge lineup type of curb slide like this, where you know, you're risking your life. You got to have good timing, but the possibilities are there. There's a lot of really great, just like seamless curb slides that he's kind of set up throughout the map. Like, you can tell this was strategically placed, and the height of it is good too, because if you're sprinting and you have good timing, no edge lineup is necessary. You can keep your reticle placement and, you know, be engaged in fights, and it does work both ways. You know, using it to shoot and navigate these sections more seamlessly. Real quick, there's actually one other little thing that I noticed that I wanted to show, where normally if you jump into this wall, you slide straight down. If you jump into blue side car, this wall right here, there's like a weird invisible ledge of sorts that, like, basically it's possible to sit there and then jump back into the action. Now, on an earlier version of this map, you could actually stand on all the individual panels on the sides of bottom mid here, and that was done on purpose. I think now this is just maybe, you know, the developer, this was like unintended. But what do you guys think of this? Being able to stand, if there was like a tiny little ledge here, and being able to stand there temporarily and then jump back into action, this would make going for camo safer, because you could pick it up, slide down, put the camo on. You're at risk of nades. If you make a slight mistake, you fall down, you still die. It's interesting. I assume if we don't go with that, though, then this will probably be patched, right? Because it's just exclusive to the one section of the map. But you might be able to get away with a safe camo grab and jump in that section. But that is Starboard. Sick map. It's now in matchmaking, only in social settings, though. Honestly, I want to see this with BR starts. I want to see this in ranked, like ASAP. I want to see pros scrim on it. I can tell this has competitive potential. I'd recommend you play this in FFA. You can try playing it with snipers as well. If you really want to work on your aim and warm up your snipes, throw some bots on there, play with friends. It's just open sight lines, right? It's like chaos and a great way to train your aim. Anyway, what do you think of Starboard? Would this be a good competitive map? What are your favorite competitive focused Forge maps currently? I know there's a ton of different Forge maps, especially with the recent 2v2 Forge Hub contest. There's a lot I've been trying. If you guys want to play this map and other Forge maps with me, typically on Fridays on my Twitch stream from 2 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/theshyway, I tend to run customs, Forge customs. It's always a good time to, invite some new people into my FFA lobby, some new victims. We'll see if you can hang. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more content just like this, check out my related content. Sub if you haven't done so already. And as always, I'll see you soon. Good luck on the way.